Yo, we just got another one in the trenches, baby. Welcome to the U. Connor Lew.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus and longtime South Florida sports radio vet, including pregame and postgame for Miami Hurricanes football. And thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first and second listen today, because this is our second episode here on this Friday. We are available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. So the University of Miami gets an interior offensive line commitment tonight around 6:45 p.m., really more closer to 7 p.m., from Connor Lew out of Kennesaw Mountain High School in Georgia. Folks, I think this player is underrated. 3-star, and yet there have been reports in recent weeks that Miami's coaching staff, Alex Mirabal, Mario Cristobal, Alonzo Highsmith is heavily involved with these evaluations. Roland Smith is heavily involved in this stuff as well. There have been reports that they actually consider Connor Lew to be the top center in the entire class, that their evaluations, and we know that the evaluations of the coaches themselves, especially an offensive line heavy coaching staff like Miami has, their evaluations for certain players may differ from the recruiting analysts, right? There's a lot of politics that comes into that. How many camps did this player show up to? How big was his division in high school? Who did they play against? Whereas Miami's coaches are actually diving into the film. They're watching these players work out in person, and they love Connor Lew. I love Connor Lew. I'm so happy he's a Miami Hurricane. Guys, do yourself a favor. Watch and sit through the entire thing. I promise you will be thoroughly entertained. Watch his 8.5-minute huddle tape. Find as much footage on Connor Lew as you possibly can. This guy is a dominator at center. He doesn't just block you. He steals your soul. This guy drives human beings down the field as if he's pushing the sled. He's so strong. He's got such good feet. He's big. I mean, he can still grow in girth-wise. I'm sure he can put on some extra muscle, but he's got great size for an interior offensive lineman at 6'3", around 285 pounds now. We know what happens when people come into the Miami strength program now with what Coach Feld is doing. This guy's going to be 320 pounds chiseled within a few months of arriving on campus at Miami. The coaching staff loves him, and Connor Lew is a Miami Hurricane. It came down to, for him, the two finalists, from everything that I had been told in recent weeks, Miami and Auburn. And he ultimately chose Miami over Auburn. And I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the fact that Miami is in the unique situation, and they obviously haven't gotten all of them, but they do have the top offensive line recruit in the country already locked in Francis Mauigoa. So I think it worked for this one. And Samson Okunlola is trending towards Miami, who's the third-ranked offensive tackle in the country. Offensive linemen love the fact that Mario Cristobal is one of them. They love the fact that Miami's head coach is a former O-line coach, and they're going to get that extra attention from the head guy. And Alex Mirabal is one of the best in the business as well. But I'm telling you, this Connor Lew, he looks the part. He looks like a man amongst boys when you watch this guy's tape. And in high school, he plays some defensive line as well. He's not going to be doing that at Miami, I'm sure. He's not going to be playing both sides, but he looks good on defensive line as well for the footage that's out there on that. But center is where this guy shines. And so you look at what Miami's added here for the class of 2023. Francis Mauigoa is already in at offensive tackle, and he's dominant. The most recent guy that Miami added before Connor Lew was Tommy Kinsler, who I think also Kinsler is another one who's, I think, underrated as a 3-star player. plays tackle in high school. I think he's probably going to move to the interior at Miami, but, he's capable of being a plug and play guy at tackle as well. Antonio Tripp, who is a dog. I love that dude. He's an interior offensive lineman. He's going to play guard, who's already in that class. And I think people are sleeping on Frankie Tinilau. And I think it's easy to sleep on the guy because he's raw compared to the others, because he grew up in Australia and he grew up playing rugby primarily. He got into it at offensive line a little bit late in the game, but man, Miami has now, and I wanted Lew really, really bad. A few days ago, I had been told that Auburn were really pushing like hard to try to get this one over the finish line. Miami's been favored all along. That's where the crystal balls had been dropping. That's where the Donno ball, I put in a Donno ball for Connor Lew to Miami a few days ago. So this was expected that he would pick the U, but I know that Auburn tried really, really hard to sway him at the last minute. And so now the Miami Hurricanes, this is according to the 24/7 composite, they have the 7th overall class in the country. I want to talk a little bit more about the first day of fall camp because that also happened today, right after I talk about betonline.net. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering info. From live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts, they have you covered, man. Head over to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening right now. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your second listen today. Available free wherever you get your podcasts. And again, I apologize for not being in my usual environment. And I also apologize if my Wi-Fi stinks. I'm at a hotel, but you get an offensive line commit that I really love. I wanted to talk about it. So I am here. I'm powering through some more technical challenges. I know we've had a lot of those this week. We also had day 1 of fall camp today. And if you haven't yet, make sure to check out the episode that I did this morning with Larry Bluestein, where we previewed fall camp. We previewed a lot of depth chart stuff, a lot of different positions. We talked a lot about Tyler Van Dyke. So I think there was some really good stuff out there. And Mario Cristobal, he was pleased with day 1. Pleased, but not satisfied, because there's a lot of work to do. These players are not fully conditioned yet to the Cristobal grind and the Mario culture, but Mario appreciates the fact that these guys are willing to work their butts off. They don't mind getting criticized. They don't mind getting chewed out. And they're all willing to work. I think he sees an eager, hardworking group with, good cardio, good command of the elements. If you haven't noticed, it's really, really hot in South Florida in August, so they've had to work through that. So Mario had good reviews today. They're a lot healthier now than they were in spring practice. In spring practice, they were missing somewhere between 17 and 19 guys due to injury. They're only missing a couple guys right now due to injury. Unfortunately, Zion Nelson is one of those, but he should be back pretty soon. He had, a minor procedure just to clean things up, but he's going to be back before we know it. He'll be good to go by the time the season starts. But Cristobal seemed pleased. Tyler Van Dyke, who looked good today, so did Jake Garcia. Tyler Van Dyke loves the defensive looks that Kevin Steele throws. A lot of disguising coverages and disguising blitzes. I think TVD appreciated the challenge, and that's going to help him and the entire offense out on game days, right? So, it seems maybe like the defense that they're facing is a little bit more intellectually stimulating than some of the recent defenses they had to work against in practice. TVD also talked about, who the go-to wide receiver is going to be. The jury is still out. He's not worried about it. He's confident somebody's going to emerge. And I don't think you can expect that guy, whether it's Keyshawn Smith or Jacoby George or Romello Brinson or Frank Ladson or X Restrepo, that person's not going to emerge the first day of fall camp. That's going to develop over time. But, when you're coming into a year where you're, replacing the single season now record holder at Miami and Charleston Rambo, and the career record holder in Mike Harley. Big shoes to fill. But I've talked about this before. One of the reasons why I'm not that worried about the receiving room, I think a lot of people overreact to the receiving room because they dropped some balls in the spring game. And I get it. It wasn't fun to watch. People overreact to that. I still maintain when you have an elite quarterback, that's what I believe Tyler Van Dyke is. Elite. When you have an elite QB, he's going to elevate that talent. I know Miami's got talent. These guys haven't proven they can be consistent in that receiving room, but you've got some blazers in there. They're going to be incredibly well coached. They're going to create separation, and the quarterback throwing them the football is extremely accurate down the field. He's got an absolute cannon for an arm, and he can fit it into tight windows. I think you're going to see, if not one, several deep threats emerge this year. I think the receiving core is going to be fine. I think Frank Ladson's going to end up being invaluable to that receiving room. And I think Colby Young is going to shock some people. Unheralded guy, transferred in from junior college. He's got the attitude. I talked to him. That guy's ready to go. He's got the size, 6'4", meaning he's going to contested balls, jump balls. He's got the length and the height, but the dude's fast. I tried to ask him off the record what his 40 time was. We couldn't actually confirm that, but I know he's fast. I watched enough of his footage and talked to enough folks that have coached him before about him. I think Colby Young, and everybody's saying nice things about him, Mario Cristobal, Tyler Van Dyke. I think Colby Young is going to emerge as one of the surprises on this team in that wide receiver core. So I'm not worried. And the tight end room, as we know, top notch. One of the best tight end rooms in the freaking country. So listen, I'm glad I could spend a few minutes with you guys tonight, talking about Connor Lew. Welcome to the U. The future is in good hands. The future of the interior offensive line, the exterior offensive line, the center position. And I'm telling you again, if you haven't watched it, get into one of those YouTube rabbit holes, watch as much footage of Connor Lew as you possibly can. It is basically him emasculating other human beings on the football field for 8.5 minutes. That's what his huddle reel looks like. And you're going to be pleased with it. You're going to enjoy it. So we will talk to you guys again soon. Welcome to the U, Connor Lew, 7th ranked recruiting class in the country, your Miami Hurricanes. We will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.